What's good, y'all? It's that boy, Easy Millions, and I'm your host of that boy, ETV. You already know, man, we are back on Mortal Kombat, and today we're going to go ahead and continue on with Mortal Kombat Legacy. This time we're going to review Season 2 and round out the show, baby. So this season is 10 episodes long, and it ultimately is the season in which the tournament begins, and it also shows some of the origin stories of the characters we haven't seen, as well as the initial beginning of the tournament, man. So let's go ahead and get straight into this and begin with episode 1, which is Liu Kang and Kung Lao reunites. And this episode opens up where we're in a bar, and we see Liu Kang drinking at a bar while we have people singing karaoke. And then we have this group that comes in, this group of, I guess, what would be like gangsters. And as they come in, they see the guy on the stage, and the gangsters go, "Hey, it's time to get up off the stage. We about to sing." So as the gangster gets up on stage, he starts singing that song, "Relax, don't do it when you want to get to it." And then as soon as he starts singing this song, Liu Kang gets mad and stands up and starts shit with the gangsters on karaoke and his friends at the table, and they begin to fight. Now, while this fight is going on, Liu Kang is for the most part whooping ass, and so at one point Liu Kang gets held down, and sure enough, Kung Lao busts through the door, comes in and saves, and they have a conversation as Kung Lao tries to then speak with Liu Kang afterwards in the alleyway. And in the alleyway here, we just have a conversation of Kung Lao basically trying to convince him to come and fight for Earthrealm in the tournament. And we also are told that Liu Kang is no longer White Lotus, and he has gone down a path. But Liu Kang ultimately decides not to agree with Kung Lao. Now, the first episode is pretty good. It's kind of interesting seeing Liu Kang at down bad the way we have. But this is another one. This is very similar to the Johnny Cage episode of the first season, where you get to see a classic character in a light in which we've never really seen him. So I do like this version of Liu Kang just to see. I just like seeing different versions of them. Now, episode 2. Episode 2 is a continuation of episode 1, and this one is called Liu Kang's Fall is Revealed. This episode opens up 10 years earlier as we see Liu Kang is working in a diner, and this is after he's left the Wuxi Academy in the White Lotus. And in this diner, he has a love interest, and they are listening to that song, "Relax, don't do it when you want to get to it." They're listening to it, so this is why he doesn't like hearing the song, because it reminds him of working at this diner with his love interest. So while he's working, we notice that two guys come into the diner, and they start to rob the place at gunpoint. And as Liu Kang runs to the front, we see that one of the robbers has his love interest, and he shoots and kills her in the store, man. After that, we're then fast forwarded to Kung Lao as he leaves the temple, and he teleports himself to the island. And as he arrives to the island, we then see his Striker, Johnny Cage, Kenshi, and Sub-Zero all in at the island for Earthrealm. And on the other side of the island for Outworld, we see that Mileena, Katana, Ermac, Scorpion, and Liu Kang actually arrive at the tournament for Outworld as this episode ends, man. So the second episode basically just gives us the backstory on why Liu Kang is down bad. Hey, I get it. He left out. So him leaving the White Lotus, everything he's going through right now is all for love. So make sure if you're going to do this over a woman, she's the right one. But this was not his fault. But again, this is a very interesting take on Liu Kang, man. But let's keep moving as we go into episode 3. And this episode is called Kenshi's Origins. And this episode starts with all the Earthrealm's champions at a fireplace, as Raiden is then explaining to them about how they all have abilities. And then as someone asks Kenshi's ability, we then are switched over to Japan, where we see an old man being robbed, And as the old man's being robbed, we see a young Kenshi who is not blind come over to save the robbers. As the robbers try to talk shit to Kenshi and attack him, Kenshi straight up destroys these guys. I mean, I swear he only does 3 moves and kills all 3 of them at the same time. It's pretty sad how quickly he kills these people, but hey, it's Kenshi. What can you say, right? After he saves the old man, he then sits down with the old man, and the old man explains to him of a sword called Sento that is being protected by a warrior named Ermac, and this blade has abilities and powers. But nobody has been able to claim the blade, as Ermac protects the blade, and anyone who loses to him in battle, he then claims their souls, as he is just a collection of souls, very similar to how they is in the OG timeline, as this is more based off the OG timeline. So we then see as Kenshi heads off to claim Sento, and on the way we see as he passes by many graves and warning shrines and skulls and dead bodies everywhere as he arrives to the cave. And that ends out episode 3. So we're going to go straight into episode 4, which is just a continuation of episode 3. And in episode 4, it begins with Kenshi still walking around in the cave as Ermac is whispering things to him, saying that, hey, you're not going to get Sento. No one can beat me, and I will have your soul. As then we see they begin to fight. And as they begin to fight, we then see an explosion, and we are then shown that Kenshi was blinded during this explosion. After we see he's blinded, we are then fast forwarded to the present, in which Kenshi is now in the tournament walking around the island, in which he is then attacked by Ermac, and these guys have a fight. Now, the fight scenes in Season 2, in my opinion, were pretty good. The special effects all are probably better than they were in Season 1, so they probably had a bigger budget, which is cool, but the fight scene is very good. And as Ermac seems as though he has the upper hand, Kenshi then is able to summon Sento, as Sento got knocked out of his hand, but he's able to summon Sento, break the hold, and then just like in MK1, he's able to throw Sento at Ermac. It plunges into his chest, and he's able to kill and destroy Ermac, man. So episodes 3 and 4 are basically Kenshi's origin and his fight in the tournament. I'm not really big on the Ermac design in this. He did not strike me as an Ermac when I first saw him. It wasn't until these episodes came out that I was aware that he was Ermac. But hey, you know, it is what it is. Kenshi, I think his design was great. I think his origin story was done very well. No qualms there. Only problem I have is it doesn't actually show you him being blinded. I think the fight scene, the original fight scene in the cave was very lackluster, but I do understand why they didn't show the whole thing, because they probably didn't really have time to do so. So I could understand that. Now, episode 5. In episode 5, this one's called Katana and Melina arrive at the tournament. And this episode opens up with a general recap of Katana and Melina's episode in Season 1, basically talking about how Shao Kahn took over Edenia, how Sindel committed suicide, how Katana was raised believing to be Melina's sister and Shao's daughter, how they went on missions, and then it even shows the very final mission on which she sees King Gerard, and he tells her that he is his daughter. That she is his daughter. We then catch up with Katana, thinking about everything, going over the truth about King Gerard, as Melina comes into the room. And as she comes into the room, she basically is just speaking down on Sindel, saying that her mother was weak for taking the easy way and the coward's way out, as we do know that Sindel did log herself out of life. So she has this back and forth with Katana, as they then head off to the island. Once on the island, Katana and Melina then overhear Kenshi fighting Ermac, so they then head that way in that direction. We are also shown that Johnny Cage also hears the same fight, and as Johnny Cage arrives in the area, he then runs into Melina and Katana, and as he runs into them, Melina then attacks Johnny as this episode closes. So this episode basically is just to show us a quick recap of Melina and Katana's relationship, as well as just show us how they are now, where Katana is mentally right now, and showing them joining the fight. Now, episode 6. Episode 6 is a continuation of 5, as it shows how Johnny, and it's called Johnny is Recruited. And episode 6 opens up a week prior to the tournament, and we hear that Johnny has crashed a celeb party and is currently being locked up. And as he gets locked up, he sees that there's a guy about to throw open the toilet as time slows down. When this happens, Johnny is then approached by Raiden and given an opportunity. And Johnny is basically like, look, it's either go with you or be in the jail. I'm choosing you. So then after we see that, we then catch back up with Johnny, who is now currently fighting Melina. And as they're fighting, Melina is able to just take Johnny and stab him up against a tree. As Katana comes up, and Melina tells Katana to go ahead and finish him. But Katana then rebels, basically tells Melina, hey, fuck you. You ain't my sister. He ain't my daddy. This ain't my fight. Right? So as Melina is like, what the hell is going on? Katana is able to save Johnny. And Katana and Melina begin to fight. This fight is all right as well. But we are seeing that Melina does end up with the upper hand and is actually about to beat Katana, as Johnny is able to sneak up and stab Melina in the foot, allowing Katana to get the upper hand and cut off Melina's head, killing her. So this episode here just basically shows us how Johnny was brought into the fold. This is not the same Johnny from season 1, which is actually kind of depressing. It should have been the Johnny from season 1. This isn't the same one, so I don't know if he's in the same boat, if this is supposed to be the same character and everything. But his fight with Melina, I do like how Melina was shown to be much stronger than him, and how she was actually stronger than Katana. But I'm not really fond of how he sneaks in and, you know, the classic, sneaks up behind, stabs him in the foot, and allows the guy to actually get the kill off, right? We see that too much, but hey, it is what it is. No real problems with the overall episode there, as it's a good one. So now let's move on to episode 7. And episode 7 is called Scorpion and Sub-Zero Form a Truce. And in this episode, we open up in feudal Japan as we see a young Bihan and Hanzo playing in the field as children together, as Bihan's brother Kuai Liang runs up and he tries to play with them, but we see that he's the outsider to the three, as he's the youngest one. As they're playing, we then see as the clan comes up and breaks them up, and Bihan is then explained to by his father that basically the clans don't fuck with each other. It's been that way since the day it's always been. Bihan tries to explain to his father that him and Hanzo are actually friends, but his father tells him once he get older, he will see the world differently and he will understand. So then we are fast forwarded 20 years, and we're now with a grown Hanzo and his family as they're walking down a path. As they're walking, his son runs ahead, and he runs into a now grown Kuai Liang. Kuai Liang then talks to Hanzo about being on the path, but Hanzo's like, look, this is neutral ground, as told by the Shogun, so there's no need for any smoke. But Kuai Liang's like, look, I want all the smoke, so he attacks Hanzo. We then see after this that Hanzo meets with Bihan in the same field as an adult that they used to play in as kids. And Bihan explains how Kuai Liang was killed to Hanzo and asks Hanzo what happened exactly. Hanzo lets him know that none of this was intended and that this was never his intention. He didn't want to do this. And Bihan understands that Kuai Liang is basically mad that he lives in Bihan's shadow, so he tries to do things to create his name. So he understands that Kuai Liang does make bad mistakes. So both men are then shown that they are both tired of violence and that they want peace between the clans, something that they spoke about as they were children. This episode here, episode 7, this one and 8 are probably my two favorite ones because, again, I just think that the Sub-Zero and Scorpion storyline is handled extremely well in this, and it's continued into season 2. Now let's get into get into episode 8 as its continuation, and this one is called Scorpion and Sub-Zero Battle. And this episode opens up with Bihan being awakened out of his bed, told that the Shiwa Ryu have been slaughtered. So as Bihan is confronting his soldiers about what happened. An old advisor comes to Bihan and explains to him that it was not his clan that did this. He should not be angry and that there is a lot more going on that meets the eye. After this, we're then given a quick recap of the Scorpion Sub-Zero episode from season 1, in which we're then shown that Bihan is shown this episode in visions to explain to him about Shang Tsung and how Quan Chi went out and killed all the Shirai Ryu, and that Scorpion has been lied to and is not in the right state of mind. We have then, after Bihan learns this information, we are then shown him dressed up as Sub-Zero, as he is now back in that field where they were as children, and he then meets Scorpion and they begin to fight. Now this fight is really good. Once again, I do believe all the fight scenes in season 2 are done very well as the visual effects for season 2 are definitely an upgrade from season 1. Now the fight is pretty much back and forth until Scorpion is able to hit Bihan in the ankle with his spear, which then basically kind of immobilizes Bihan. And then once this happened, Bihan tries to explain how he is innocent and that Scorpion had been lied to, but Scorpion does not listen, and he performs the classic spine head with the spine ripped out fatality, man, as the episode closes out. So this episode here, episode 8, beautiful, loved it, everything about it, and I love how they went and did the fatality. This is something I wish they had did in the movie, but they didn't do it in the movie. They definitely did it here. It was a great addition. Great. Episodes 7 and 8, just right along with the other Sub-Zero and Scorpion episodes from season 1. Great episodes, probably the top 4 ones right there. Now let's get into the final 2 episodes here. We're going to start with episode 9, which is called Liu Kang's Approach to Fight for Outworld. And this is pretty much just a prequel to Liu Kang going to the tournament, as we open up in a hotel with a meeting where we see that a drug deal has gone wrong, but the dealer was already dead, and that Liu Kang is actually the one in the room, and he kills the guy who comes in to meet with the dealer. We then pick up Liu Kang at a restaurant as he's eating, and he is approached by not the one and only OG Shang Tsung himself as he approaches him, and they have a back and forth throughout the episode. So the rest of the episode is just them at this table having a back and forth where Shang Tsung is telling him that Kung Lao and the White Lotus only protect Earthrealm, but they don't protect the people within it. He tries to also use the death of Liu Kang's love interest to motivate him that humanity isn't worth saving. Shang Tsung also tries to convince Liu Kang to get revenge on Kung Lao for abandoning him. And right before this episode ends, we see that Shang Tsung is leaving the dinner, letting Liu Kang know that he always has a spot in Outworld for the tournament, man. So then, right after this episode, we pick up with episode 10, which is Liu Kang and Kung Lao meet on the battlefield. In this episode, we open up with Kung Lao in a training session. And during this training session, Liu Kang shows up. And this is where Kung Lao first learns about the death of Liu Kang's love interest. During this conversation, we learn how Kung Lao never went to visit Liu after he heard to visit him to make sure he was okay. We find out that Liu Kang went and killed the people that killed his girl as karma. And that when Kung Lao says that karma should only be given out by the gods, Liu Kang explains to him that this is no different than what he does at the tournaments where he kills people. How is this any different? Liu Kang is then shown to be sad that Kung Lao is 100% dedicated to the White Lotus and won't falter even when it involves him. Liu Kang realizes that basically even if it was him, Kung Lao would still never falter to the White Lotus and their beliefs. And then with the ending of this conversation, Kung Lao then banishes Liu Kang to never come back to the White Lotus. We're then fast forwarded to the present day at the tournament, where we see Stryker running into Johnny, as Johnny's then leaving the fight for Melina, I believe. So Stryker begins to help Johnny heal, And while this is happening, Johnny explains to Stryker about Melina and Katana when Liu Kang attacks them. And then Liu Kang puts hands on both Stryker and Johnny. It is not even a challenge. He beats the dog shit out of them. It's pretty funny. And he was about to kill Stryker until none other than Kung Lao shows up. And we see them talking back and forth about how Liu Kang is letting Kung Lao know that he doesn't believe humanity is worth saving anymore. Kung Lao is then telling Liu Kang that he will not fight him. And the episode ends with Liu Kang saying to Kung Lao that if you won't fight, then you will die, as the episode then comes to a close, man. So, the Kung Lao and Liu Kang, I am sad that they didn't actually touch this until the end of season 2. Because I actually like this storyline as well. I think this is probably the second most interesting storyline outside of the Johnny Cage one from the first season. Like I said, I'm not really a big fond of the Johnny Cage of this season, the one that's in this episode's here, but Liu Kang and Kung Lao's storyline, I believe, is done extremely, extremely well, man. And too bad that they ended off in this cliffhanger because they never got a season 3 done, so we never gonna know what happens. But season 2, ultimately, I believe that season 2 is a lot different than season 1. Season 1 is basically just origin stories, while I believe that season 2 is origin stories, but it's more trying to continue season 1 while also throwing an origin story, so it kind of throws it off a little bit. But going through the Kung Lao Liu Kang storyline, I believe is done extremely well. Very, very good. The Kenshi origin storyline was good, except for the Ermac design, in my opinion, and the fact that we don't actually see Kenshi get blinded. They kind of just speeds through that. The extension of the Katana and Melina storyline is good as well, even though I'm still mad that that Katana just didn't kill Melina straight up and didn't need the help. Also, that the Scorpion and Sub-Zero storyline was added on to from season 1 and made even better in season 2, man. But hey, Mortal Kombat Legacy is available, I believe, on YouTube and HBO Max. So make sure to go ahead and check out both season 1 and season 2. Both of them together is only about a 2-hour watch time, so you should be able to watch them fairly quickly. But if you've seen it and after you see it, let me know. Do y'all think that Mortal Kombat Legacy should have got a season 3? Do y'all think it was pure garbage? Do y'all think certain things are good, certain things are bad, man? Let me know down in them comments below. And this has been another commentary on another Mortal Kombat property. Next time I'm thinking about hitting up Caged Match, so we're going to see how that goes, man. But it has been your boy E, and as always, please like, comment, subscribe, follow, share, become a supporter, and catch me streaming on Facebook Gaming and Twitch at DatBoyETV. Yeah, I'm out. Peace.